Good day, you all. My name is Craig Martin. I am a 20-year veteran in this education experience, and I'm excited to talk with you about where do I start? Taking a brave journey in equity for all. And so this session is designed for any educator who is really trying to think about diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, and how do you create those spaces for young people? And so I'm just going to share a few ways that you can infuse, diversity, belonging, equity work into who you are and what you do. And I'm hopeful that you'll walk away with like one or two things you can just say, hey, Craig, I'm going to try that out. So if you want to stay connected, and you absolutely should stay connected, here's where you can go. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on LinkedIn. Again, been doing this for a while, but I'm super excited to do this with you. And so let's make some magic. So I understand that in this nation, there's just so many things we hear, so many things that are going on. And for some of us, we're asking ourselves the hard questions. How do I start? What do I do? Maybe your community, you're in a rural community, in Iowa, and you're on a farm right now and you're checking out this video, this session. Maybe you are in Silicon Valley and you are high tech, and you are working towards how do you welcome young people who are coming from Thailand? We have some people who are in New Orleans, Louisiana, where I was born and raised, who are marching with the Saints and doing their thing, but you may not have all the textbooks you need. You may not have all access to all the great books that, may be in your partner's school across the way. You could be in New York City right now, or Maine. You could be anywhere. And people are asking themselves like, I want to do better. I want to make sure that the spaces that I create are inclusive and especially designed for young people who are currently served or will actually walk into my building one day. Because some of us, as we know, the complexity of the nation continues to change. And it is on us as educators to be champions for every young person we serve. And so how do we do that work in a great way? I'll share some ideas. So first thing you have to ask yourself is, hey, how am I showing up? Because all of who we are shows up in different ways. And so it could be that our, my chocolate decadence, me being chocolate, let me get closer so you can see, might show up. So my race, it could be my nationality. It could be my orientation, my language, my physical health. All of these things show up with us. And so we have to ask ourselves, okay, when I'm actually engaged in working with young people, what do they see? What do they engage? When I'm working with my colleagues, whether or not I'm a school leader, whether or not I'm an administrator, whether or not I'm a person who's a specialist, what shows up and how important is that to the young people we serve or to my peers in the profession? And so as we are asking ourselves these questions, our young people thrive off of resonance. We as people actually rely on resonance. What resonates with me, the relationship you have with me, the rapport you actually establish. And sometimes we actually have to work at a beginning place of, because we're in an atmosphere of working with young people, maybe that's where we start. So as I talk a little bit more through this, I want you to think about what I consider to be an ethos, a way of being. So as I talk about some of these things, I just want you to be present with a growth mindset. I do realize that we're all on a continuum here. I want you to also think about engaging not just in this session, but just in your future conversations, interactions with positive intent and respect. Acknowledge that you may actually walk and carry bias and privilege, because that's important too. Some of us don't realize that because we're citizens of the United States, or our first language was English, or we actually are able to walk with both of our feet on the ground and move about, or that we actually have multiple houses, or we actually have a particular ethnicity, that gender, all of that shows up. And all of those allow us to be in spaces and have conversations that may otherwise not be had because we actually walk and carry with those things, which means that there's an invisibility that we also carry because there are parts of who we are that people don't even acknowledge and see. And that too can be an actual challenge in us growing in this, especially for young people. Except that there's closure, non-closure. So as you're actually engaging in just your thinking here, as you may be engaging in sessions and other conversations across the continuum with other people, that you're never going to be at a place of closure, except closure and non-closure, because you're going to continue this. You're never going to get to an end point if you're really, really committed to this work. And you're going to have to lean into the discomfort. I'm telling you, like I get on a scale. There are times, there are times where you are going to find yourself absolutely uncomfortable because being in spaces where you're challenging yourself, other people may not be on that journey with you. Some people are going to stop and say, I can't, I don't understand. Why are you doing something different? And these are people you care about just dearly. And so how do you get to a place of being uncomfortable but still advancing forward, because who you are and what you were made to do is greater than being comfortable? So for some of us, we're working on being an ally. And so teaching tolerance is a really great resource for those who are trying to figure out, well, where do I start? And so one of the first things we have to ask ourselves is, am I an ally in this work? Am I an accomplice? What does it mean to be an ally? What does it mean to be an accomplice? And so there are some of us who do not actually carry the same melanin or carry the same experiences as some of the other young people we serve. How can we walk alongside our students and our peers in this journey? How do we teach at the intersections? In my career, I've never been able to find success. I failed often in my work because I did not completely identify with everything that was in the room, or every person who was in the room. Our young people have cultural capital in their language and their linguistic ability, in their ability to use multiple mediums and media to communicate and express their ideas. They have incredibly rich intelligences that we have to tap into, because they too are going to be the future leaders and creators and entrepreneurs of the world. And so we need to find out who they are and help them to actually find themselves. But our journey is not to create the avatar, create their identities. It's to amplify the excellence and the just amazingness of who they are to the light. Show them that they're amazing, and then figure out, how do you weave, some of these really great stories into who they are. And maybe that comes with digital storytelling. Maybe that comes with what they see in the lessons and what's on the books that they see and read each day. I also think that it's important for young people to see themselves in books. And I know some of you, especially those who are in rural communities, are saying, hey, Craig, I may not actually encounter, that many people who are, immigrants. I may, we've never had a person of a particular ethnicity or race in our community. Why is that important? People may find me, sharing lessons of other experiences just crazy. And I think that we get caught up in this fishbowl, of feeling like, well, I need to do things because it makes everyone else comfortable and happy. I want every kid I serve, every soul I serve, to recognize that they are global beings. And so storytelling is incredibly important. And it's so awesome to have young people read about other experiences, because I should never anticipate, and you should never anticipate, that our young people are actually anchored to their zip code. And why is that important? Any kid who gets on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, they're already connected to the global world. Some of our kids need to be ignited to know you can actually go beyond your zip code. You will travel and communicate and connect and gravitate to places beyond your zip code. Storytelling is a great way to push our young people to a different place. Then for some of us, we're saying, hey, Craig, I need a safe space where I can explore this. My district is not doing this work. My community is not ready for this, but I want to do this. Well, there really are some amazing spaces for you to really do a deeper dive for yourself. And if you just say, hey, it's just you, well, here's one place, the Anti-Racist Book Club. Cass and Minor is a really great duo, husband and wife, interracial couple in New York, who are really dope and amazing people, who kicked off an anti-racist book club that's actually global. So there are people from all over the globe who participate in conversations, interactions, all around equity and more. You can actually find yourself joining any entity you desire, because if you really want to do it, you have the ability to make it happen. Of course, facing history in ourselves is, how do we actually build this into our lessons, which is another really great experience. And so exploring these tools also show you and others ways to see yourself and see each other in the continuum of learning. So check this resource out as well. And I know other ways that we are really thinking about disrupting the status quo and creating the best opportunities for young people may be about you being an advocate and a champion against food insecurity, housing insecurity, making sure our kids have technological support, financial assistance, parent engagement, engaging with families. I was doing a talk with some educators. Some of them were coming from rural communities, and they were saying, Craig, we really don't know how we're going to get our parents engaged. We really are in a space where it's really hard, and we don't have the dollars to do what we need to do. I said, do you have a school bus? They were like, yes. Take that school bus and say, hey, we're going to have a half day where we're going to do remote learning. We're going to get in a school bus, and we're going to go out to the major parts of where our kids and families are. Put your mask on, come out. You can actually hand out snacks and smiles. You might even be able to give out some books that you can get from, a number of entities that are giving out free resources. But going out into the communities and finding out what's going on, collecting the stories, talking to families is super important. And additionally, it shows you're going above and beyond. So just think about ways you can expand equity and access to young people and families, because there are multiple ways. You just have to be creative. And if you feel like, hey, we are in a space where, your community is just really crumbling, you might have to get legislative. You might have to reach out to your city councils, your state agencies and state senators and representatives, because they too should be championing anything that supports the advancement of all young people. And so there's different ways to do that. So a lot of the food benefits are coming from like EBT cards and the PPEs, the paycheck protection plans. Like those are helping our communities. And so you sometimes have to say, I'm going to write, I'm going to communicate, I'm going to text my representatives, because I need them to continue these benefits, because they ensure that our families will not fall in the cracks. And if you're looking for ways to just have conversations around policies, practices, and things like that, race equity tools, this is a really great resource for you to disrupt again, a number of systems that are disenfranchising our young people across the board. So maybe it's about having the conversations, looking at your curriculum, and there's a host of tools here that you can explore. I will say that one of the things that is most important to me in all of this is really about who am I connected to, who is doing this work. And I find, these people here to be part of the backbone of who I am as an educator, who is continuing to be a thought leader and a connector in the education sphere. Who you find yourself surrounded to and who you're influenced by also really shapes how you see the world. These are some of my most favorite people. I could actually give you 1,000 to follow, but here's 6 who just showed up this morning for me, and I wanted to share out. Like, if you want to follow some people who are doing some phenomenal things and will help to elevate your game, check them out. And finally, as I think about just the work around identity, intersectionality, culture building, and more, if nothing else, as a human being, just say, hey, I see you. I see you as human with beating heart, sound mind, great intentions to impact the world. Spend time carrying, curating, and conversing with people who have identities different from your own. Begin to shape your world by examining other spaces and other people who just walk this earth differently from you. Talk to people about it. Have courageous conversations. Check in. And if you feel like, well, this is not in my circle, go to Facebook, go to social media. There's tons of people in spaces who are willing to do this work and walk with you. Finally, promote policies and practices that protect, affirm, and elevate equity, inclusion, and belonging for all human beings, because every soul we serve with deserves it, including you. And so I'm coming to the close. If you ever have questions, is there a way that you just want to continue the conversation and interaction? You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, or you can email me. I want to continue to do this work with you. I'm serving with you, and I feel blessed by it. So I just want to thank each of you for taking the time to invest in being here with me on this journey. May we make meaning and magic. Take care.